Back in the day when velocipedes were roaming the earth, people got so excited about it that everybody wanted one. You're probably thinking a velocipede is a dinosaur. Well, it's actually the great-great-great-great-grandfather to what we call the bicycle. Now, Carl Days is the guy who decided that, you know what, I'm tired of picking up after a horse, because when you're picking up after and you realize the byproduct thereof, it gets tiring. So he decided he wanted to cruise around town on something a little bit different. So he took a tire, which was made out of metal, by the way, and then he took another tire from the back, which was made out of metal, by the way, and then he took a metal bar somehow and he tied them together, straddled that thing, and then started cruising all around town and gliding here and there, and people just loved it like crazy. Now the French, they didn't like the word velocipede, so they decided to call it bicyclette. But the Americans, they decided back in 1860, they wanted nothing to do with that, and we're going to call that thing the bicycle. And with that being said, technology has taken off like crazy, and now you don't even have to pedal a bicycle if you don't want to. So my question to you here, Don, is this. How drunk do you have to get to say, you know, I like riding a bicycle, but I don't necessarily like pedaling the bicycle? And then you come up with this contraption over here that people are just going crazy after. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, I have to admit that there was drinking involved.
Okay.
I lived at the top of a hill, and I loved to ride down to the bottom of the hill and go maybe visit a pub or have lunch and then ride back up the hill. But riding back up the hill wasn't that enjoyable. So that's when the idea of putting an electric motor on the idea came in. I wasn't the one who invented it. The first electric bikes were created in the 1900s, but they never really became of age until the lithium battery became available. And that's what changed the game.
So back in those days, the battery must have been real huge or something
It gets you
like
about
that.
3 miles.
Yeah, really?
And now a little tiny battery will get you 50 or 60 miles.
Oh my goodness, that is just amazing. So staying on top of the technology has to be paramount in your mind.
Just like the electric car business, what changed that? You know, we had a lot of false attempts, including in 1908, the Baker electric car came out. It was a problem. The lead acid batteries just couldn't handle it. In the 90s, General Motors came out with their electric car, lead acid batteries didn't make it. It wasn't until in 2006 and 7 when the lithium battery became of age, and that changed the cell phones, it changed everything. That's what made transportation possible using batteries.
Okay, so when did the idea of Pedego come to you to say, hey, I really need to do something about this?
Well, it came to me when I first bought my first electric bike, and it got me up the hill, but it was a terrible
Whoa. You actually bought an electric bike?
I bought somebody else's electric bike. There were companies making electric bikes, mostly unsuccessful, but I did buy an electric bike, and it got me up the hill, and it was a terrible one, but it got me up the hill, and I thought there's something to this. Somebody needs to perfect it.
So did you start tinkering around with that bike, or?
No, I actually bought 6 more. So I had a total of 7 in my garage, and all my friends came over and rode them, and they had a great time, but they were all pretty crappy bikes. So that's when I decided to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. And
so I would imagine you pulled the same kind of stunt that Carl Day did when he had his Velocipator, or whatever the heck they called it back then. And I would imagine that, you know, he started off with the square wheel on that thing and decided, well, we better round this off and then see how we can scooch around. Now, his was probably pretty quiet back in those days because there was no chains, there was no pedals or anything like that. Today, I mean, I've seen these things work in it. They don't make a sound either.
yeah, it's a pure form of transportation when you look at it, with or without a motor. A bike is a great form of transportation because those wheels make you go a lot faster. And I tell a lot of people, once you start riding a bike, walking gets really slow because things go by a lot faster. And then add a motor to it, it adds a different dimension to it. So it's a combination of technology. We also came out with 3-phase motors at the same time. So it was marrying the technology of the bicycle, which had been around for forever, the motor, which had been around forever, and then battery technology. But they all came together in some circumstances that allowed us to create Pedego.
Is there any place that we're not allowed to take these things?
There's still a few pushbacks from some of the hardcore cyclists on mountain bike trails, but generally speaking, including the national parks, have all blessed them.
Really?
Said this is a great transportation method. It started with California. We got a law passed in 2016 that said that if it's an electric bike, it's really treated exactly the same as a regular bicycle, as long as it met certain restrictions. And that law has now been passed in 24 states total.
So the Pedego actually has all those credentials behind it, and all you got to do is smile while you're riding.
Right, exactly. And I tell people that it's okay to pedal, but if you can, it's okay too. It doesn't matter, because on all of our bikes we have a throttle which allows you to ride the bike without pedaling.
Oh, so you have the best of both worlds that you can incorporate with something like that.
Well, there's actually 3 ways you can do it. You can ride it like a regular bicycle. It freewheels, you ride it. It's a little bit heavier, but it'll ride just like a bike. You can add a little bit of power by doing pedal assist, which means you put it in one of the levels, and as you pedal, it'll give you a gentle push or a hard push, depending on what level. And then the third way you can do it is you can just twist the throttle and not pedal at all.
Just go. So there's something for everybody. Now, speaking of something for everybody, what do you think? Can I get a deal on one of these?
I'll let you have it, but you have to leave the sticker on.
Oh, okay, because the sticker is what makes you cool. So once somebody gets their bike, I do understand how important maintenance is, because we got to take vitamins. I would imagine we have to give vitamins for these things.
Correct.
The first thing that comes to mind is the battery. What do we got to do to maintain that battery?
Battery is self-contained, requires no maintenance except keeping it charged on a 110-volt charger that we provide with every bike, plugs into any household outlet.
So that seems pretty simple enough.
It is very simple.
And how many charges does this thing take?
You get thousands of charges.
Thousands of charges.
Just depends on how much you use it.
That is really nice. Now there's other things over here, different components and such. What should I be concerned with?
You should mostly be concerned with the brakes, the gear system, and the controller. And that's something we do an annual inspection of. We look at the brake pads, the brake rotors, the chain, the derailleur, all the electrical connections, including the LCD and the brakes up on the handlebars.
So there's a lot of stuff a person can get lost with on this if they don't know what they're doing.
They're very sophisticated bicycles, yes
Well,
they are.
I'll tell you what, I'm a pretty sophisticated guy over here, Doctor. What do you say I get over here and I start helping you out just a bit?
I don't think so. I think we're going to leave it to the certified technician that knows what he's doing.
Oh, man. Where are you taking me?
I'm taking you on the first time ever backstage tour of Pedego in action.
Wow, this is so cool. Look at all these guys. They're working like busy beavers over here, and you got bikes that are floating.
Not exactly.
And we have tires too. Look at that. Look at that. That could actually change the whole scene of this whole bike. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, we customize bike. Every bike is built to order. They can pick different tires, different wheels, different seats, different hand grips, different battery options.
I see a problem though with this whole thing right here.
What's that?
Well, you said these are electric bikes, right?
Correct, correct.
Well, I see the battery on that one.
Right.
This one right here has no battery. It must be broken. You might get rid of this one. It's broken.
No, excuse me. It's not broken. It's got a battery in it. I can't believe you can't see it.
Oh,
Let
it's
me
in
give
the
you a hint.
wheel.
No, let me
Look how
give you a
fat those
hint.
wheels are. That's cool.
Let me give you a hint.
All right, go ahead.
It's in the frame.
It's in the frame. All right, this guy's lost it.
So I'm going to turn this key and lock it in, and I'm going to pull it right out, and this is the battery. And I want you to feel that.
So cool. Look
How
at
much that? What do you think that weighs?
As much as a gallon of milk.
Yeah, probably about 6 pounds.
Yeah.
And that one will take you about 30 miles.
Nice. Okay, but what's inside of it?
18 650 cells, which are like AA batteries, and there's 64 of them lined up inside here. And there's also a controller that tells the batteries what to do. So much like the bottom of any electric car, where a Tesla would have about 7,000 of these cells, there's 64 cells in this one to get you about 30 miles.
Okay, how many times can we charge and recharge something like this?
2,000 times.
Oh man, that's
That
a lot of
means-
bike riding.
Well, if you think about it, you have 365 days a year. If you rode it every day and charged it and discharged it every single day of your life, it'll last you at least 5 years.
Wow, that is so cool. And then if you run out of the battery, it's no big deal because you've got pedals here and you can pedal your way.
You can always pedal, that is correct.
Now this is how I normally would see a battery on a bicycle, so this is a little bit more typical, isn't it?
Right. Most of our batteries have it integrated in the back rack because most people want a rack on their bike. So by putting it here and kind of disguising it, we can also cover it up with a pannier bag if people didn't want anybody to know they had a battery.
So this
we can cover the pannier.
this battery is really tiny. It must be really
No, there's
fun
no
to ride.
battery in there.
Oh, where's the battery for this thing? Oh, okay, thank you. All right, how does it go in?
Well, it goes, there's only one way to go in. There's a light in the back, but it's designed just to slide right in here. So whenever you wanted to put the bike in, it slides in there and locks in place, and now it's ready to go.
Nice. Okay, oh, so it does lock in. So when I'm doing a wheelie down the streets, no problem.
Exactly. It's not going to fall out on you.
It's not gonna fall out. Hey, look at this thing. I've never seen tires like this before. I should say the rims.
The wheel, that's
The
a mag
wheel.
wheel. That's a very popular option for us. You don't ever have to tune the spokes or adjust the spokes, and it's lightweight. So it's a magnesium wheel. Just like a car has mag wheels, our bikes, most of our bikes come with a mag wheel option.
Okay, why is this second wheel on here?
Okay, that's not exactly a wheel. It's a brake. And that's what's known as a disc brake.
Well, I thought they did the kind of brakes where they on the top.
It's very important to go on an electric bike, but it's also even more important to stop.
Okay.
So this is designed so that it'll stop the bike. And the problem with those old style brakes is that they're rubber, and when they get wet, they don't stop very well.
So we're going to stop our Pedego.
Exactly.
Okay.
So if you spin the wheel, you'll see that they're very, very effective, and they stop instantly.
Okay, and then it looks like we have a television that we could watch while we're driving.
We haven't quite got it wired up to the phone yet, but this is the LCD display, and this is going to allow you to control all the functions. The first one I did is I turned on the backlight so you can ride it at night.
Oh.
And this has functions. 0 means nothing. It's not going to go. It means it's a bike. Okay. As soon as I go to 1, I've now added pedal assist. So if there were pedals on this bike, which the pedals are optional on our bikes,
Okay.
just kidding. We put the pedals on the bike, and if you turn the wheel, you'd see it get power. If you dial this up to say 6, that's the throttle motion. Now when I turn this, twist this throttle, it's going to power that rear wheel.
Look at that. Number 1, it's very quiet. Number 2, you have a battery.
Right.
The battery has to have a motor someplace. Where was the motor at?
The motor is integrated into the rear wheel. So this is the motor.
Oh,
This is the battery, and the control mechanism, the brains of the operation, the microprocessor are also baked right in here. And it's wired up here to the front LCD display to control it.
okay, so the front LCD display does not need a battery on its own.
It does not. It's all operating off of this battery, as is the tail light and as is the headlight.
Oh, look at that. There's the tail light right here. That's kind of cool. Okay.
And there's an indicator here to tell you the amount of energy in the battery. Right now, this battery needs to be charged. It just came in and we haven't charged it yet, so it's low battery charge. You see the same indicator up here, that it's low on battery. The battery needs to be charged. So you get an indicator, that's like a fuel indicator.
Okay, so everything is talking to each other on the bike.
Correct.
And it knows when you're pedaling
Yes.
and when you're not pedaling.
Correct.
And you could tell it to have those different functions.
Yeah, so if I crank the pedal right now, this is in pedal assist 4. If I start cranking this pedal a little bit, the motor's going to engage as long as I'm pedaling. So right now, this is engaging as I'm pedaling, and there's 5 different levels. As soon as I stop pedaling, it's still spinning because it's freewheeling, but until I apply the brakes, that wheel will continue to turn on its own.
So how fast can we go on this particular bike?
These bikes are all limited to 20 miles an hour, so we conform with the local state regulations on making it an electric bike.
Nice. Well, I think what I could do is I could actually just kind of take and look at this spin for an awful long time, because that's pretty.
Here is the property I told you about. Hey, can I help you?
Hey, wait a minute.
That's me.
This isn't you. I want to rent this place.
You're a little late.
Oh.
My client Terry here, we're just doing a final walkthrough with her.
Oh, no.
She's taking
kidding.
it.
A walkthrough includes walking, not riding a bike. What's
Well,
going on?
we take the fun little electric bike up to the listings, because why should the pizza guys have all the fun, right? So I love to take my clients around Corona del Mar. I mean, the traffic is sometimes crazy. It's kind of hard to park. And this is a great way for us to get around and dodge all the traffic and have fun while we're doing it.
So you're telling me you literally put your clients on the back of this thing and you tote them around the place?
You can't script this thing out. This is happening right now.
Yeah.
We're pulling up, and yeah, I do. I actually do it all the time. Especially if I just have one client, because especially in the summer here in Newport Beach and Corona del Mar, it's just a lot more fun and easier to get around than riding in a big old car.
There you go. Now, she kind of referred to you as a pizza. Do you feel like a pizza? No, you don't feel like a pizza. I think this is a great thing. It's environmentally conscientious. It's sustainable. I could see how it sets you apart from different organizations, other real estate companies. So thanks a lot.
So like there's different people have all different shapes and sizes and short legs and long legs and different sized torsos. The bikes are the same way, so we've designed a whole bunch of different models so we can take care of all those different people. And there's nobody better to tell you about this than Hal.
Hey Hal, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Nick. Nice to meet you.
Can you believe he told me there's 18 different types of bikes over here and they come in all kinds of colors? What's at our disposal?
We have so many bikes, as Don alluded to. We have 18 different models. So we have folding electric bikes.
Wait, a folding bike? When I think about a folding bike, I think it's like a toy or something.
No, these are great electric bikes that really fits the need for people that want to take a bike in their trunk or the back of their SUV. They're nice and lightweight. You can fold it in under 60 seconds and you can open it in under 60 seconds. Very convenient. We have 2-seat tandems.
Whoa, wait. Tandem bikes, are they power assisted by both people or is it just one?
No, power assisted with both.
Both people, okay.
So we also have mountain bikes for those that like to go off trail.
Nice.
We have city commuter bikes, or bikes that really fit the needs for people that want to commute back and forth to work.
Did I see a bike someplace that had really fat tires on them? What's the story with that?
We have also off-road bikes with 4-inch tires, and it's great for people that want to ride at the beach, the sand, the dirt. In fact, we've sold quite a few of these bikes to surfers in the area, and we'll attach a surfboard rack to the side of the bike. They can be down to the beach in minutes. They don't have to pay for parking, and then they can ride the beaches after they surf for a while. We get great response from those guys.
I think we're taking cool to the next level over here. I kind of want to try one before I buy. What's the process behind that?
Well, we like to encourage everyone to rent one of our bikes or take a test ride on our bikes. We want to make sure everyone loves their purchase. That's key to having fun, and for those people to get to know which model they prefer.
And I understand you take people on tours.
We take tours almost daily around Newport Beach. They love it, and we get such fantastic feedback on it. The biggest complaint we have is the tour is over, so we want to ride more.
Okay, well, speaking of riding, it's been a while. How did we get these bad boys to go?
Well, almost all of our bikes use the same kind of drive system, so they're really easy. We made it very intuitive. So the first thing you do is you got to turn the bike on, and you turn it on by hitting this button here, and that powers the bike on. I'm going to hit the second button here, and I'm going to backlight the display. That'll allow the headlight and the taillight to come on.
Okay.
And then once I've done that and you're ready to ride it, zero means just what it means, zero. You're not going anywhere. You're going to pedal it, but there's no power. As soon as I go to level 1, there's 5 different levels, it's going to give you a gentle push as you're pedaling. So you'll just feel a little bit of that motor kick in as you hit the pedals. There's 2, 3, 4, and the most powerful is 5. 5 is, it's really going to give you a charge and really give you a hard push. And that'll take you to 20 miles an hour. And then we have the 6th mode, which is the magic carpet ride mode, as I like to call it. And what that means is you don't have to pedal at all if you don't want to. You can, but you're not required to. And as soon as you hit the throttle here, right here, and you turn that throttle, that wheel's going to go 20 miles an hour.
Wow.
Whether you're on it or not. So I suggest you do it when you're on it.
Okay.
And what that does is that gives you that energy level to propel you up a hill, to get you through a light, to catch up to your friends, or just you want to go full on out. These are all regulated at 20 miles an hour, so they're classified as a bicycle by virtually every state in the country.
So if I wanted to extend my battery life, do I pedal more, or how does that work?
So there's 2 ways you can do it. One way you can do is you can buy a longer range battery. So we make batteries in different things depending on how far you're going to ride. And then the other way to do it, the more you pedal, the longer the battery's going to last. So this particular one has our long range battery. It'll take you 50 or 60 miles without pedaling. If you add pedaling to the equation, I can't say, because I don't know how much you're going to pedal. Somebody who weighs 120 pounds is going to get a lot further than somebody who weighs, say, 200 pounds.
All right, Hal, I'm 122 pounds. Let's rent one. I want to try one of these.
Well, you're going to have a lot of fun.
Okay, so I've learned a lot about the environmental benefits as well as sustainability efforts on bicycling, but what about the health benefits?
Well, the health benefits are the best benefit at all, and I'm not really qualified to answer that question, but Dr. Miriam certainly is.
Hi.
So I understand riding a bicycle is healthy.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm a great example of the health benefits of electric biking. I'm 66 years old,
Happy
and
birthday!
thank you. And due to a lot of orthopedic conditions, I've had over 20 surgeries. I could no longer ride my bike due to really bad knee issues. And I started riding this bike about 4 years ago. I put on 8,000 miles on the bike.
Holy smokes, 8,000 miles!
The really interesting thing about electric bikes is that studies show that it confers the same medical benefits as riding a conventional bike, because electric bikers actually ride twice as long as conventional cyclists, because they can control how much power they get from the bike or not. They can control how much they're going to sweat or not.
Now, in 8,000 miles, where do you go?
Within 6 months of getting the bike, I started using it to commute to work, which was 25 miles round trip. I would use more power on my way to work, and when I got to work, I would just use a blow dryer to blow out my hair, put lipstick on, and be ready to work. On the way back home, I then decided how much I wanted to sweat or not, how much more exercise I wanted to get or not. So you're just in complete control of that. But the neat thing is that you can choose not to sweat at all and still get the exercise benefits from the bike.
Now, when we're doing this bicycling, and we're looking at it from a health aspect, should we ask a doctor for advice?
Actually, if you can ride, it's a good point. If you're a younger person, I think you don't think about that. If you're older, you generally have a relationship with a physician, and if you're concerned about it, then you can discuss it with them. My main issues were orthopedic, and so I discussed that with my orthopedic doctor and with my physical therapist. If you have other health issues, that actually comes out more with heart rate issues and cardiac issues. And again, you can control how much power you draw from the bike. So you can keep your heart rate very low as you ride it, or you can pedal harder.
Well, I'm feeling pretty feisty right now. Let's go for a bike ride.
All right, let's go.
Lead the way, Doc.
Okay.
Though Amsterdam and Denmark are a couple of the most bicycle-friendly places in the world, we're doing our part here in the United States. Los Angeles alone has some 600 miles of designated bike lanes, and cities all around are following suit. You see, when I was a kid, there was never such a thing as a bike lane. We were taught to ride on the sidewalk of all things, which is now illegal in many cities. But today is a new day. Bike lanes on streets are as popular as ever, and cities are converting unused train tracks into beautiful bike and walking trails. Now, here's something to think about. If people were to switch from driving cars to riding a bike for a variety of short daily trips, upwards of 5 billion gallons of gas could be saved, and between 21 and 45 million tons of CO2 wouldn't be released each year. Talk about breathing easier when riding a bike.